Assassin's Creed Origins. This game is over 5 years old. So a couple months ago, I made a video celebrating AC3's 10-year-old birthday, when in reality its birthday was actually last year. I was so distracted by the 15th anniversary of the series and all the new game announcements that it completely flew over my head. And the same thing happened with Assassin's Creed Origins, which is already over 5 years old. I remember when this game was coming out like it was yesterday, and it's so absurd to think it's already been that long. And despite the fact that Origins is almost a complete departure to what we were used to in AC at that time, it has been one of the only games to do it and retain a generally very positive opinion amongst the community. Even those who typically dislike the RPG creeds usually still have nice things to say about this game in particular. And the simple matter of fact is, this game holds up unbelievably well for a 5-year-old game, and the absolute gems of open world games like this are a little bit harder to come by recently. And not to mention, Origins effectively saved Assassin's Creed. Its predecessor was Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which has aged pretty well too, but it had an underwhelming launch to say the least. It's the second least selling AC game in the series. People were pretty fed up with Assassin's Creed after Unity and getting very tired of the annual releases, and with Syndicate, Ubisoft started to notice the interest in AC had diminished significantly. So that prompted them to take 2016 off and put everything into Origins, which essentially feels like a reboot. Without Origins, who knows what could have happened and what the series looks like now, for better or worse. And I know it's a popular opinion to want the old Assassin's Creed formula back, but at the time it was basically the opposite. A lot of people were wanting Ubisoft to innovate in the series, and Origins was the result of that. And it effectively delivered on what people wanted. It was launched to great reviews and became the third best-selling game in the series. Origins, at least from a certain viewpoint, was a successful reboot of the series, and I still can't believe this game is 5, almost 6 years old. Over half a decade already. The visuals alone are still better than a lot of games that are releasing today. The aesthetic is gorgeous. Egypt manages to still look so alive and vibrant despite being in a literal desert. Like, Unity and Syndicate still look fantastic even now, but Origins was a seriously impressive jump from even those games. Now, I do remember having trouble running this game well on PC when it came out. Granted, I didn't have as good of a PC back then, and the game was still brand new, but playing it now, for how it looks, it's actually really well optimized. And for those console players, you guys got a 60 FPS patch last year, which had to have been nice. And respect to Ubisoft for actually bothering to give a 60 FPS update to a 5-year-old game. There's a lot of other big studios out there that people have been begging for a 60 FPS update to their game. Plus, the setting in ancient Egypt is absolutely beautiful, and I have said in the past that it seems Ubisoft figures now they can just do whatever time period they want, regardless of if it actually makes sense for an AC story, which is why they've been kind of cherry picking the most popular ones that are likely to sell well. But Origins actually has a good excuse for this. Ezio literally mentioned in Revelations how the Brotherhood started thousands of years ago, and there's been plenty of mentions throughout the series that the Brotherhood existed even before it was known as the Assassin's Creed.
We've been fighting them for thousands of years. Even longer if you believe the stories of their origins. I do. After all, I've seen the truth.
So going back to ancient Egypt to explore this origin story actually makes a ton of sense in the scope of the series. There's a justifiable reason to go back to this time, and the story that's being told is very important to the overall lore and narrative of the series. Even if it can be a bit on the nose sometimes, telling the origin story in Egypt makes sense. There's a good reason for you not playing as an assassin, because you're playing as two of the original original ones, telling the story of Amunet, who had been such a well-known figure within the Brotherhood. They kind of got the best of both worlds with Origins, where they got an extremely popular time period in ancient Egypt, but also it makes a lot of sense why you would set an AC game in this time. I feel that's very important, and it's not something every AC game does, evidently. While the Assassin's Creed formula did change for this game, they still managed to make it feel like an AC game, with tons of lore and principles that made the old AC games what they were, although in terms of the gameplay, it did strip back in some areas quite significantly, going for a more streamlined approach in the parkour, for example, along with the absence of social stealth. Apparently they did try to bring social stealth into this game initially, but it wasn't working within the game's systems, I suppose, so they opted to exclude it, which is kind of a bummer, but on the other hand, it does make sense narratively why Bayek is unable to use social stealth. He hasn't even created the hidden ones yet, so why would he know how to blend with a crowd and hide in plain sight? Which is the exact reason why I would have loved to see a sequel with Bayek and Aya, having them further evolve the hidden ones and learn things like social stealth, along with training recruits of their own. Such a big missed opportunity in my opinion, but at this point that might as well be the slogan of the series. And Bayek as a character, just phenomenal. It's crazy to think that initially he wasn't even going to be the protagonist and was going to be killed off early on in the game, because he's one of mine and I know many people's favorite protagonists in the series. His story actually mirrors Ezio's a bit, while still feeling different and distinct, and not just making him feel like another Ezio knockoff. You know, and I saw a comment not too long ago saying that they felt that Bayek's revenge story wasn't quite as strong as Ezio's because it felt like he was always angry and didn't have those ups and downs like Ezio, and I have to disagree because there's some key differences between Ezio and Bayek's revenge stories. First of all, Bayek is not always angry. Yes, he does brutally kill some of those who were responsible for his son's death. In fact, the first one reminds me a lot of how Ezio killed the man responsible for the hanging of his family. But you still see plenty of moments of levity with Bayek, specifically when he's helping innocent people around kids or with his wife Aya. Another thing to keep in mind is that Ezio's story took place over 23 years, so it makes sense why Ezio would have more time to accept things and why his rage would slowly fizzle out. For Bayek, this is still fresh. The entire story for Origins is only over the course of 6 years. It hadn't been that long since his son died at the beginning, so I don't really think it's even fair to compare it like that. Doesn't matter though, Ezio and Bayek are both phenomenal and are often always near the top of the discussion when people talk about the protagonists in the series, and for some, in video games as a whole. Aya was incredible in this game too. It's too bad that because of certain reasons, her role in the game was significantly diminished, but I still loved her character in the time she had. The voice acting and performances are easily some of the best of the series, especially with Bayek and Aya. I hope to replay this game in full very soon and make a big video on it, but for now, I just wanted to go over some of my favorite parts of the game in celebration of Origins' 5th birthday. Happy late birthday, Origins. I'll always look back on this game fondly, regardless of where the series goes in the future, so send Origins your best birthday wishes in the comments, and let me know what some of your favorite parts of this game are, and where it ranks amongst the rest of the series for you. As always, if you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you left a like, and considered subscribing to the channel if you're new. Special thank you to my members for supporting me, and other than that, thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your day, Assassins.